Hello everyone, Vito's830 here back with another How to Play. Today we're looking at how to play the game Paperback, the 10th anniversary edition. This game originally came out 10 years ago, 2014. It is a deck building word game by Tim Fowers, art by Ryan Goldsberry, and all sorts of other artists, to be honest. And it's from Fowers Games. The There's lots of differences. This one comes in a bigger box, and it is a two-piece box like this, whereas the original came in a box that was kind of sideways like this. It was skinny and a little bit tall. It's kind of awkward, quite frankly. And the cards sat in it like this, which is fine. But and I wouldn't mind that if they had done that with this box. But it did make it a little bit awkward for storing it and everything like that. This is just a more standard box, which is nice. You get the rules, obviously. What else is new in this game? There is, it plays slightly differently. We have new artwork for the novels. These are, you buy these for whatever cost it says, 5 cents in this case, and you get 4 victory points. And these are basically wild cards that you can use as any letter when you're building words, so kind of cool. So there's brand new artwork on these, including from, there's one, it says on here who the artists are. So, Nick Nazar, these are artists. Page turn is not real though. But there's a lot of artists here who are real, who have done lots of the games. Jill Jose, David Anza, Lady Ribs. This is her first board game artwork apparently. And all sorts of just different book covers, which is really cool. There's one that I'm trying to find specifically, and I believe it was Red Colors, Derek Hibbler. This one right here, Vincent Dutrait, very big board game designer, so it's really cool to see him design artwork for something here. That's really cool. And those are just basically victory points, wild cards that you can use. They had that in the original game, but these are completely brand new designed by a whole bunch of artists. You got brand new starting decks in this game, but you also have one of the classic ones. Where are the starting decks? There we go. So the starting decks in this game have 4 wild cards. And there is also consonants, just like the old game, R, S, T, L, N. And each player gets a unique consonant. So this guy would get a G. Another player, would get a C. Another player has an H. Another player has a P. And the fifth one has an M. The original game, you all just got the exact same starting deck with the same letters, R, S, T, L, and N. And you got 5 wild cards, which can be used as any letter, especially vowels, obviously. So that's one difference. We also got these cards here. This is the classic set. So this is what it used to look like. You used to get 5 wild cards and 5 consonants. And this is here for 2 reasons. One, so that you can play the classic version of the game from 10 years ago if you wish. And also if you want to add a 6th player, they will get these cards. And so they're not going to get a unique consonant, but they do get an extra wild card. So it's kind of cool that they threw that in there, and it says classic on it, just so you can't mix them up. This game also adds a solo mode, which comes with a bunch of cards, including a player aid and just a bunch of cards. We won't get into this today, but thought I would show that off. You got, what else is new? There's 136 updated letter cards, the new box, new starting decks, the new novel covers. There's a new genre mode, which gives you player powers, a new deadline variant, spy mode, which is the solo mode. The original did not have solo, what I can recall. And These here are the genres. So you have different genres like Western, romance, dystopian, horror, mystery, science fiction, time travel, and literary fiction, and fantasy. And these, look at this, spells that help you spell. What a magic to make spelling words easy. So this one lets you buy cards with strong abilities and combo potential, but more or less about how hard it is to use the letters on words. And like they give you different bills. Like this gives you 1 cent if you have at least one wild in a word. This cycles 2 visible letters, etc., etc. So each character you could use these if you want. You don't have to. And they have fantastic artwork as well on the backs. Each one kind of telling a story, which is really cool. And these spots are for, as you saw in the card, are for cubes, which you get here. Nice wooden cubes, 30 of them, nice chunky cubes. You also have these free little markers. These are for solo mode. Like a mask and a skull and a cross here, an X. So we'll put those aside. There's also another thing that's new is 40 unlockable cards. So these cards are sealed in these envelopes. You're only supposed to open them, which I will, if you complete these challenges. For instance, win a game with either solo or co-op variant. Someone in your game gains a 17-cent theme card. That's the most expensive ones. Or someone in your game spells a 10-letter word. Do not open unless you complete the challenge below. So I think that's really cool. A little mystery and suspense. And what those are, I don't really know. But they're there. There's also typos. These cards right here, which you can use. It's another variant which lets you play this card in a word. And it just lets you get access to these harder to use letters. But they don't give you anything towards the score of your word, and they're worth a negative point at the end of the game if you still have them. So keep that in mind. But again, that's a variant. We won't get into the variants here today. Although I might talk about one or two. So, what else do we get in this game? You get the length card. This is going to tell you, you have different lengths of words, 7 to 10 letters. On A, on the B side, it's 8 to 11 letters. Then we'll set that up. You have these cards here, which are your common vowel cards. 5 vowels. And you're going to have these here. You'll mix them up. And we'll just mix them up. And you're going to put one. You're going to put this here. 7 letters. And this is going to be available for anyone to use in the word at any time. You just leave it where it is. You don't take it. You just, say you're using it. And if a person were to spell a word with 7 letters, they would get this card permanently, and this will drop down to 8 letters. And then if somebody gets an 8-letter word, they get this card, and they drop it down to 9 letters. This is one way the game can end, and that is if we get to, all the way down there. These other ones, common cards as well, space more in the reverse, but they're used in a variant, basically. So we won't use them here. You got your starting decks. As I mentioned, each one is kind of color coordinated. You see this one's kind of orangey. So let's use this reddish one and this bluish one for this demonstration. I'll put the rest aside. You also got all these cards. And you're going to set these up in a certain way. Now, for this version, you got all these letter cards. You got the 2-cent ones, which you'll set into one pile. You've got all of these, purple and orange, which are free, and 4 cents is the cost to get them. And then these ones, blue and green, are 5 and 6 cents. And then lastly, 7 and 8 cents in brown and, what is that, turquoise. In the classic game, you will have 7 piles. separated by color. In this version, you have 4 piles of kind of a mix. And you're going to have, for this 1, 2, and 3, you're going to have 2 cards below each one available to purchase by anyone at any time. So you have 10 cards at any time you can buy. This one's going to be here. These are going to be set up as well. You're going to sort them out by price. So here's your 17 cents, 11 cents, 8 cents, and 5 cents. And you're going to have a certain amount in the game dependent on the player count. So, and that's all indicated right here. The theme cards, what they're called, or novels. For 2 players, it's 4, 5 cents, 4, 8 cents, 2, 11, and 1 17 cent. So we'll do 1 17 cent. We'll do 2 11 cents, I think it was. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's your basic set. You're gonna set up those cards. You set up all these common cards, the offer. This is called the offer. This we gotta set up as well, the common cards. They suggest only using the ones with vowels and not these two for your first game, so we will. And obviously we're leaving a bunch of stuff out of the game as well, just to keep this basic. And what you're gonna do is shuffle these up and draw 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll discard the other one and put it face up on the letters. Again, this can be used by anyone. Each player is going to get their starting hand of cards. It has RSTLN, 4 wild cards, and 1 random constant. And you mix them up, and I'll show you how you play the game here. Just a basic game for the second edition. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw 5 cards. This is terrible. Actually, I'm going to reshuffle this because I did not get a good shuffle at all. No wild cards. Although it would have been interesting. So you draw 5 cards to start. And you look at them and you come up with a word that hopefully uses all of them. You don't have to use all of them. You could do just a 4-letter word, but I'm going to do GL. I'm going to do gloat. Yay, I'm gloating. I used all 5. So, what you're going to do, once you spell a word, is you don't get anything for the wild cards, so they are worth 1 victory point. But each card has a number in the corner. Some are going to be 1, some are going to be 2 or 3 perhaps, like this is 3, this is 2, this is 4. That is going to give you money to spend on buying these cards. So what do I got here? I got 1, 2, 3, and this one says, if your word used all your cards, score +1. So I did, so I get 1, 2, 3, 4. That means now I can buy any combination of these cards that I can afford. So I can buy a 3-cent card or a 4-cent card. I could buy 2 2-cent cards. If I could afford it, I could buy some of these. What are these? These are wild cards. They can be used as any letter. And they give you a bunch of victory points from 4 to 15 victory points. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points basically is going to be the winner. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just get this 4-cent one, the N, which has an ability on it. Some of the cards have abilities that says you can trash a card from a hand or discard if you do, and then you gain a card worth up to 1 cent more if you do that. So you're going to take all these cards, put them into your discard pile, and then you draw 5 more cards for your next turn. Then my opponent's going to go. Remember, you can always use this letter, whatever letter is available here, and if you do a word that has 7 letters, then you would get that card. How do you get words with 7 letters? Well, with cards like this that have 2 letters on there, that's helpful. And or there are certain cards that give you the benefit of being able to add or draw an extra card on your turn. For instance, this one right here. You can draw one more card on your next hand if you use this. So instead of 5, you would get 6. If you have this, hey, it's 7 letters basically, or 6 letters perhaps. So this guy's gonna go, draws 5 cards. He's gonna spell. Oof. Okay, well he's probably gonna have to use the I. Let me just see here. I was just thinking of something too, and now I forget what it was. Something with an I that has these letters in it. Rise. They can spell rise using the I-S-E. Actually, risen. Let's do risen. So this one was, if you used all your letters, you'd score 1 more. They didn't. They get 1, 2, 3, 4 because they use that I. So they also get 4. And maybe they decide to take 2 red cards since they're 2 cents each. Is how much it costs. Now these red cards, after using them, you cycle them out. I guess I believe what that means is you put them back in there, you get rid of them. They're gonna put all these cards in their discard pile, draw back up, and then it's my turn. This letter stays here, unless they do a 7-letter word, then they would get that. So I have, I could also do risen, because why not? And I get 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have another R in the word, draw plus 1 more card in the next hand. I don't, unfortunately. So yeah, so I get 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, and maybe I'll take this 4-cent card. Once you use up all your cards, you reshuffle and draw 5 cards. That's it. You're building up your deck. Eventually, you can get some of these cards to get more points. The game, it has, on your turn, you're going to do several things. You create a word, check the word life to see if it matches up with that, resolve any abilities, score your word, buy cards using however much your score was, discard cards, and then draw your next hand. So yes, cycle with these red cards that we have here. Let's say cycle. Once you use this word, this letter in a word, you're going to put it back underneath the bottom of its pile. That is only the red cards. They are all like that, the 2-cent cards. So they're basically a one-time use. Trash. If you trash a card, that means you remove a card from the game, and it is out permanently. Each player will keep a personal pile of any trashed cards. So when you trash a card, you don't put it into your discard pile and draw it back into your hand later on. It's done. It's out. And the end of the game will happen when 2 of these fame piles are completely empty, or when there are no more common cards on the length of this card. So when there's no more cards here, this is empty. When all 4 of these are gone, that also triggers the end of the game. The winner of the game is going to be whoever has the most fame points on the cards in their deck, their hand, and their discard pile. Whoever has the most fame wins. If there's a tie, whoever has the most common cards wins. If there's still a tie, whoever has the most fame cards wins. I guess if there still happens to be a tie, you just share a victory. So, again, the victory points are all the stars you see on these cards, like your wild cards, are worth 1 point each. These are not worth anything, but all of these are worth points. So you kind of want to build up your deck using these cards to build better, stronger words, so that you can get the money to be able to buy these and score as many points as possible. And also getting these are valuable because these are all worth 5 points, and there's 4 of them. So that's the game in a nutshell. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the modules and the variants. I discussed typos a little bit, and with these, it gives you a bit more flexibility with the cards that you purchase. So maybe instead of buying some of these more expensive odd ones, like Z's and X's, you just use V's. But again, these are worth negative points at the end of the game if you have them. They suggest adding these in once you're familiar with the game. That's why I didn't use them. And you would shuffle them, put them into a pile here next to the offer. And once per turn during the buy card step, you can gain a typo card. When you do that, it lets you add one to your budget. So instead of having $4, I would have $5 to spend, or 6, or whatever. So this is worth a negative point, but it does give me one more spending point, one more spending dollar, if I add a typo to my hand. And then once you use the typo card in a word, you return it to the bottom of the deck. Is the way it works. So it's pretty cool. It lets you get an extra money to spend, and you use it like any word and any letter in a word. So yeah, it can be helpful. Of course, there is the module for playing the classic version, which can also be used to add a 6th player. There is the alternate common cards that can be used instead of these vowels, or mixed in with that. This one lets you create 2 words by adding a space between them, and it gives you an additional point to your score. And this will let you reverse a 2-letter card. For instance, the CR would become RE. So those are interesting as well. Then there is, so additionally, there's also a couple of house rules, as they call them, and these involve these wooden cubes. The first is cube rewards, which you'll set these all off to the side for a surge supply. And if at any point in time you're having a difficult time creating a word, maybe all you got is this, and you don't know what to do, you can ask for help. And if somebody else comes up with a word, they would get to take a cube. And a cube they can then later use as a 1-cent discount when buying a letter, which I think is really cool. The other one is writer's block, where again, you put these in a shared supply. And if you cannot or do not want to buy one of these letters with the cards that you have in your hand, you can simply discard them. And then you gain a cube. Later on, you can return these cubes to the supply in exchange for a 1-cent bonus when buying cards. So again, it works as a 1 cent. They both work in a similar way. If you cannot or do not want to make a word, you just discard your cards, get a cube that you can spend later on when buying a card. Or if you help somebody with making a word with the cards that they have, if they get stuck, you get one of these and you get to use it later on as 1 cent, basically. So it's an interesting little addition. And then there's all sorts of variants. There's a co-op variant where you work cooperatively. And you'll have a different setup, as you can see. And what you're doing is, on your turn, instead of buying a fame card, you're going to be placing a cube on one of these uncovered fame cards. basically you win together if you buy all the famed cards before any card gets 5 cubes on it. So that's kind of an interesting variant. There's also the genres variant, which involves the genres cards, which I won't really get into, but there is that. It gives you different abilities. It involves the cubes as well. There's the deadline variant, in which all these offer cards are mixed into one pile instead of 4 piles, sorry, at the start of the game. And you deal out 12 cards to each player. And then also give each player one common card. That's these ones. And basically you have your own personal offer. And that's all you get to use during the game. You buy up these letters that you have and use those to spell words. It's kind of an interesting idea. And of course there's the soul variant. And yeah, that is that. So that is the game in a nutshell. I talked a lot about some of the variants and stuff. I didn't get into great detail with them, obviously, but maybe one day we'll do more details on some of the variants. We'll see. Definitely the soul I plan on doing at some point in time. Anyway, that is Paperback 10th Anniversary Edition. I like it. Cards are very nice quality. Although no linen finish, but still pretty nice. Interesting. I like everything they've added and changed it up to make it better, in my opinion, than the original. Solo modes should be good and everything. So yeah, that is that. Comment, like, subscribe, let me know what you think. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Check out their website.